The Amazon River often appears calm from the surface. In the early hours of the day, when sunlight begins filtering through layers of canopy and mist rises from the water like slow breath, the river can feel almost quiet. Leaves drift across dark currents, insects skate along the surface tension, and occasional rings spread outward where something beneath the water briefly breaks contact with the air. To a casual observer, the scene suggests stillness, a broad tropical river moving with patient momentum through the forest. Yet this calm surface hides one of the most efficient group feeding systems in freshwater ecosystems. In the Amazon, disturbance travels quickly through water, and when a signal of weakness enters that system, the response can multiply in seconds. That is where piranha enter the story, not as the exaggerated monsters of popular myth, but as opportunistic predators whose real power lies in collective reaction. Piranha belong to a group of South American fish known as serrasalmids, relatives of pacu and silver dollars that share similar body shapes but differ dramatically in diet and behavior. Several species inhabit Amazonian rivers and floodplain lakes, including the well-known red-bellied piranha, a fish built for efficiency rather than size. Their bodies are compact and muscular, shaped like flattened discs that allow sudden bursts of acceleration. The most striking feature, however, is their dentition. Each jaw contains a row of triangular teeth that interlock with precision, forming a natural cutting edge capable of shearing through scales, flesh, or plant material with minimal effort. Unlike many predatory fish that rely on piercing teeth to grip prey, piranha are adapted for slicing. A single bite removes a clean fragment, after which the fish withdraws and circles back for another opportunity. Despite their reputation, piranha rarely behave as mindless attackers. In most conditions, they are cautious animals, constantly balancing hunger against risk. Their schooling behavior provides both protection and competitive advantage. By remaining in groups, individuals reduce their chances of becoming prey themselves, while simultaneously increasing the likelihood of locating food. Within a school, every fish is watching the movements of the others. A sudden shift in direction, a quick acceleration, or a feeding strike by one individual becomes a signal interpreted by dozens of nearby fish. The school operates as a distributed sensory network, allowing information about potential food sources to spread through the group with remarkable speed. Environmental context plays a major role in determining how piranha behave. During the annual flood season, vast areas of forest become submerged, creating an enormous aquatic landscape filled with fruits, insects, fish, and other sources of nutrition. In these conditions, piranha disperse widely, feeding opportunistically and often consuming plant material as well as animal prey. But as water levels begin to fall later in the year, the environment changes dramatically. Floodplains shrink, side channels isolate into lagoons, and animals that once had unlimited space suddenly find themselves confined to smaller volumes of water. Food becomes concentrated, competition intensifies, and encounters between predators and prey become far more frequent. This compression of space is one of the key factors that can transform normal piranha behavior into something far more intense. In shallow pools where fish, amphibians, and injured animals are trapped together, signals of distress travel rapidly through the water. Vibrations from struggling movements, chemical traces released from damaged tissue, and flashes of reflected light from sudden motion all serve as cues that something vulnerable is present. Piranha possess a highly sensitive lateral line system that detects subtle changes in water pressure, allowing them to perceive disturbances long before they can see their source. When several fish in a school register the same signal at once, the group begins to converge. The first strike in such a situation is rarely dramatic. One fish darts forward, bites quickly, and retreats. Yet, that small action changes the behavior of every nearby piranha. A feeding opportunity has been confirmed. The fish that delivered the initial bite now carries chemical traces of prey tissue in the water behind it, and the motion of its sudden attack triggers competitive responses in the surrounding school. Within seconds, more fish accelerate toward the same location. The pace of interaction increases sharply, not because the fish have become aggressive in a human sense, but because the conditions now favor rapid feeding. Competition is the real engine behind what people often call a feeding frenzy. Each piranha understands, in evolutionary terms, that hesitation could mean losing access to food. In a dense school, dozens of individuals may attempt to bite the same target within moments. This creates a rapid succession of slicing strikes rather than a single prolonged attack. Fish rush forward, remove a piece of tissue, and withdraw instantly to avoid collisions with others attempting the same maneuver. The entire process unfolds in bursts of motion that can transform a struggling animal into scattered fragments in a remarkably short time. The sensory environment of the river changes dramatically during these moments. Water that was previously filled with faint currents and drifting debris becomes turbulent with sudden acceleration. Tiny bubbles and suspended particles scatter light, creating flashes that attract even more attention from nearby fish. Chemical cues spread outward from the feeding site, drawing individuals from surrounding areas that detect the disturbance through both smell and vibration. The reaction spreads through the school like a wave of electric current, amplifying the number of participants involved. It is important, however, to understand that these events are highly dependent on context. In large rivers with abundant space and food, piranha often behave cautiously around unfamiliar objects, including humans. Many documented attacks on animals occur in situations where prey is already injured, trapped, or weakened by environmental stress. Low water levels, overcrowded lagoons, or sudden disturbances that cause prey to thrash violently can all trigger heightened feeding responses. Without those conditions, piranha frequently ignore potential targets that do not display clear signs of vulnerability. This conditional behavior reveals something deeper about the ecology of group predators. Individual piranha are not particularly large or dominant within the Amazon's vast network of aquatic life. They coexist with formidable competitors such as large catfish, electric eels, and river dolphins. What allows them to succeed is their ability to convert opportunity into speed. When one fish detects weakness, the information spreads instantly through the school, compressing what might normally be a prolonged hunt into a matter of seconds. Time itself becomes the resource they exploit most effectively. Other animals living in the river understand this dynamic well. Injured fish often attempt to flee immediately after a bite, rather than remaining in the same location. Mammals that enter the water, such as capybaras or peccaries crossing between banks, tend to move steadily rather than thrashing or splashing excessively. Even predators like caimans are known to swallow captured prey quickly once they submerge, minimizing the release of signals that could attract opportunistic scavengers. In the Amazon, weakness does not remain private for long. The river eventually settles once the disturbance ends. Suspended particles drift downward, currents smooth the surface again, and the piranha school disperses into looser formations. Within minutes, the water may look exactly as it did before, giving no obvious sign that an intense feeding event has just occurred beneath the surface. Yet the process reveals an important principle of group predation. Piranha are not dangerous because of the power of a single fish. They become effective predators because multiple individuals respond to the same signal simultaneously. In that sense, piranha embody the same ecological logic seen in many of the Amazon's collective hunters. Whether it is army ants sweeping the forest floor or fish converging on distress signals in a shrinking lagoon, the pattern remains consistent. Weakness attracts attention, attention multiplies participants, and the combined response accelerates the outcome. What begins as one bite becomes many bites, and what might have been a slow struggle becomes a rapid cascade of strikes. Beneath the Amazon's calm surface, the water carries information constantly. Vibrations, chemical traces, flashes of movement. Most of the time, these signals pass unnoticed. But when they align in just the right way, the river itself seems to react. A single disturbance spreads through the senses of dozens of fish, and the response arrives almost instantly. In that moment, the water no longer feels empty. It feels alive with teeth, each one responding to the same message at once. The Amazon forest floor rarely announces danger in obvious ways. To a human observer, it appears calm, almost slow, a carpet of damp leaves and tangled roots quietly recycling the remains of the forest above. Light filters through multiple layers of canopy, breaking into narrow shafts that illuminate patches of moss, fungi, and decaying wood. Insects hum in the distance, birds call sporadically from higher branches, and every few seconds a faint rustle betrays the presence of something small moving beneath the litter. Nothing in this scene suggests an approaching predator. Yet, hidden within this ordinary landscape, a different kind of hunt is beginning, one that does not rely on stealth, speed, or venom, but on overwhelming coordination. Beneath the leaves, the ground itself is about to start moving. Army ants represent one of the most extreme examples of collective predation on Earth. Unlike solitary hunters that depend on individual skill, army ants function as a single biological system composed of hundreds of thousands of bodies. Each ant is small and vulnerable on its own, but together they form what biologists often describe as a superorganism, a living network in which the colony behaves almost like a single animal with thousands of limbs. Their raids begin when worker ants surge outward from the temporary nest in expanding columns, guided by invisible chemical trails known as pheromones. These chemical signals act as both maps and instructions, allowing ants to follow each other's paths while simultaneously reinforcing them. The result is a self-organizing highway system across the forest floor, where every individual contributes to the movement of the larger group. As the raid front expands, it begins to resemble a wide, advancing wave of motion. The ants move through leaf litter, under fallen branches, and across tree roots, filling every crevice they encounter. To the animals living in this environment, the difference between ordinary insect activity and an army ant raid becomes clear within seconds. Instead of scattered movement, there is pressure, constant, directional, and spreading. The ants are not searching randomly. They are sweeping the forest in a coordinated front that can stretch several meters across, systematically probing every hiding place for prey. The prey itself is rarely something dramatic. Most victims are small arthropods, beetles, cockroaches, spiders, centipedes, and other insects that normally survive by remaining unnoticed. Camouflage, however, loses its value against predators that hunt by contact. Army ants do not rely on vision. They detect prey through touch and chemical signals, meaning that a perfectly camouflaged insect may still be discovered if the advancing column passes close enough. When the first worker ant encounters prey, it does not hesitate. Its mandibles clamp down immediately, anchoring itself to the target while releasing recruitment pheromones that summon nearby ants. Within moments, the situation escalates. The chemical signal draws additional workers from the surrounding swarm, each one responding to the scent of both prey and fellow ants already engaged in the attack. What began as a single ant's discovery becomes a concentrated assault. Multiple ants attach themselves to legs, wings, or body segments, locking the prey in place, while others begin tearing tissue or dismantling joints. Army ants lack the powerful venom systems seen in many other predatory insects, but they compensate with mechanical efficiency and sheer numbers. Immobilization happens quickly because movement becomes impossible once dozens of ants anchor themselves simultaneously. Yet the most dramatic effect of a raid is not the capture of individual prey. It is the wave of panic that spreads through the surrounding ecosystem. As the ants advance, countless small animals detect the disturbance and attempt to escape. Grasshoppers leap from hiding places, beetles burst from under bark, and spiders abandon webs that once offered perfect concealment. Even small vertebrates react instantly. Lizards dart across the forest floor, frogs scramble toward nearby vegetation, and every creature that normally depends on stillness is forced to run. This sudden movement does not go unnoticed by other predators. In the Amazon, several species of birds have evolved a remarkable strategy built around army ant raids. Known as ant followers, these birds track the advancing swarm not to eat the ants themselves, but to capture the animals fleeing from them. As insects and small vertebrates rush away from the approaching front, they become easy targets for birds waiting just above the chaos. The ants, in effect, function as beaters driving prey into the open, creating feeding opportunities for predators that would otherwise struggle to find hidden animals in dense vegetation. This interaction highlights an important ecological role played by army ants. They do not simply remove prey from the ecosystem, they temporarily reorganize how energy moves through the forest. By flushing hidden animals into the open, they create a feeding event that benefits multiple species simultaneously. Birds, reptiles, and even other insects exploit the disturbance, turning the raid into a mobile feeding zone that travels slowly across the landscape. For a few hours, the forest floor becomes a corridor of heightened activity where predator and prey interactions occur at an accelerated pace. Behind this spectacle lies a remarkable system of decentralized coordination. Army ants operate without leaders or central commands. No individual ant directs the raid or understands the larger strategy. Instead, complex behavior emerges from thousands of simple interactions. Each ant follows basic rules: move along pheromone trails, attack prey when encountered, and release recruitment signals when assistance is needed. Through these repeated behaviors, the colony achieves a level of organization that appears almost intentional. The raid front expands where prey is abundant, shifts direction when obstacles appear, and concentrates force wherever resistance is strongest. Equally impressive is the nomadic lifestyle that defines army ant colonies. Unlike many ants that construct permanent nests, army ants live in temporary structures formed from their own bodies. Workers link legs and mandibles together to create a living nest known as a bivouac. sheltering the queen and developing larvae within a protective mass of moving ants. After several days, the colony abandons this structure and marches to a new location, continuing the cycle of migration and raiding. This constant movement ensures that prey populations are not permanently depleted in one area and allows the colony to exploit fresh hunting grounds throughout the forest. For the countless animals sharing the Amazon's understory, the arrival of a raid is less like encountering a predator and more like experiencing a passing storm. The ground begins to vibrate with motion, hiding places lose their safety, and every creature must make a decision: flee immediately or risk being overtaken by the advancing swarm. Most escape long before the ants reach them, guided by vibrations and chemical cues that signal danger. But the disturbance they leave behind fuels a chain reaction of encounters among other predators waiting nearby. Eventually, the wave passes. The ants move onward in search of new prey. Birds disperse from their temporary feeding stations, and the forest floor settles back into quiet routine. Leaf litter stops rustling, insects return to hidden shelters, and the illusion of calm gradually reappears. Yet the memory of the raid lingers in the reshuffled community of animals that survived it. In a rainforest famous for large predators like jaguars and anacondas, it is easy to overlook hunters measured in millimeters. Army ants demonstrate that danger in the Amazon does not always come from size or venom. Sometimes it emerges from organization, persistence, and the combined force of thousands of individuals acting as one. When they move, the forest does not simply host predators. It becomes the path of a living wave sweeping across the ground. At first glance, the riverbank looks peaceful. A stretch of dark Amazonian water slides slowly past tangled roots and leaning trees, its surface broken only by drifting leaves and the occasional ripple from a fish beneath. In the distance, a sudden splash echoes across the channel, followed by a chorus of sharp, whistling calls that bounce between the forest walls. Moments later, a sleek brown head rises above the water, whiskers shining with droplets, eyes alert and curious. Another head appears beside it, then another, until a small flotilla of long-bodied mammals glides into view. Giant otters are often introduced as playful creatures of the river, social, expressive, and strikingly charismatic. Yet behind that charm lies one of the most coordinated and formidable social predators in the Amazon. When a group of giant otters decide something in their water does not belong, the shift from curiosity to confrontation can happen with startling speed. Giant otters are the largest members of the otter family, capable of reaching nearly 2 meters in length from nose to tail. Their bodies are built for life in the water, elongated and muscular, with powerful hind legs, webbed feet, and a broad tail that acts like a rudder during high-speed swimming. Dense fur traps a layer of insulating air against the skin, allowing the animals to remain active in water for long periods despite the cooling effect of constant immersion. But physical adaptation alone does not explain their success. What truly defines giant otters is their social structure. Unlike many mustelids that live solitary lives, giant otters form tight-knit family groups that operate almost like small riverine communities. A typical group consists of a dominant breeding pair and several offspring from previous years, all sharing responsibilities for hunting, defending territory, and raising young. This cooperative structure transforms the animals from individual hunters into a coordinated team. When they move through the river together, they maintain constant awareness of one another's positions through a complex system of vocalizations. Their calls, chirps, whistles, growls, and explosive barks carry efficiently across water, allowing the group to remain synchronized even when visibility is limited by dense vegetation or murky currents. For observers, the effect is unmistakable. A giant otter group rarely moves in silence. Communication is continuous, reinforcing bonds and broadcasting information about potential threats. Territory is the central axis around which this communication revolves. Giant otters occupy defined stretches of river or lake, often several kilometers long, which they patrol regularly. Along the banks, they establish campsites and dens, marking these locations with scent from specialized glands and communal latrines where multiple animals deposit waste. These scent markers function like territorial boundaries written directly onto the landscape. Other otter groups passing through the area can read these signals easily, understanding that a family already claims the waterway. In a forest where resources fluctuate with seasonal flooding, defending productive fishing grounds can mean the difference between raising young successfully or losing them to starvation. The presence of pups intensifies this defensive behavior dramatically. Young giant otters spend their early months learning to swim, hunt, and navigate the river under the watchful supervision of adults. During this period, the group becomes hyper-aware of disturbances. Any unfamiliar movement in the water, whether a predator, a rival otter family, or a large animal entering the river, triggers an immediate assessment from multiple members of the group. Heads rise above the surface simultaneously, scanning and sniffing. Vocalizations shift in tone, carrying sharper urgency. What begins as curiosity can rapidly escalate into a coordinated defensive display. Unlike the swarming behavior of ants or the feeding rush of piranha, giant otter confrontations are driven by intelligence and shared interpretation. Each member of the group reads the reactions of the others. When one animal signals alarm with a bark or hiss, nearby otters orient toward the same direction. Bodies align, forming a loose line across the water that blocks the perceived threat's path. In this moment, the group behaves less like separate individuals and more like a single organism with multiple pairs of eyes. Speed plays a crucial role in how these confrontations unfold. Giant otters are capable swimmers, accelerating through water with powerful strokes of their hind legs while steering with subtle tail movements. Their streamlined bodies allow them to surge forward quickly, often closing distance before an intruder fully understands what is happening. At the surface, they appear sleek and almost playful, but underwater, their movements are purposeful and efficient. Fish are normally their primary prey, captured through cooperative hunting that drives schools toward shallow areas or corners them against riverbanks. Yet the same coordination used to hunt fish can be redirected toward defense when the group perceives a threat. In defensive situations, giant otters often approach in formation, spreading slightly apart so that several animals surround the target simultaneously. Their heads remain above water, jaws open to reveal strong teeth capable of gripping slippery prey. The vocalizations that accompany this advance are striking, deep growls mixed with sharp warning calls that travel far across the river. To an animal unfamiliar with their behavior, the sound can be startling. It carries a tone of unmistakable confidence, as if the river itself has decided to challenge the intruder. This confidence is not misplaced. Giant otters possess powerful jaws and a willingness to bite when cornered. Encounters between rival groups can escalate into violent struggles, with animals grappling, biting, and twisting in the water until one side retreats. Even large predators treat these families with caution. Jaguars occasionally prey on solitary otters or young individuals near the bank, but confronting an entire group in open water carries significant risk. The otter's collective awareness makes surprise attacks difficult, and their willingness to mob a predator can turn the tables quickly. From an ecological perspective, giant otters illustrate a different form of swarm behavior, one built not on sheer numbers but on shared intelligence. The group rarely contains more than 8 or 10 animals, yet their coordination amplifies their effectiveness dramatically. Every member contributes to surveillance, hunting, and defense, creating a network of perception across the water. Signals move through the group almost instantly, allowing them to respond to changes in their environment faster than many solitary predators could manage alone. Their presence also shapes the behavior of other species along the river. Fish schools adjust their movements when otters are nearby, often diving deeper or scattering into vegetation. Smaller carnivores such as caimans or large catfish may avoid areas regularly patrolled by otter families, recognizing the advantage that coordinated mammals possess in open water. Even birds sometimes react to the sudden bursts of activity that accompany otter hunts, diving toward fish driven toward the surface by the mammal's pursuit below. Yet despite their formidable capabilities, giant otters remain deeply social animals whose lives revolve around cooperation rather than constant aggression. Much of their day is spent grooming one another, playing in shallow water, and teaching younger members how to hunt effectively. Playful wrestling among juveniles helps develop coordination and strength, preparing them for the real confrontations they may face later. Observers often remark on the contrast between these moments of obvious joy and the intensity displayed when the group defends its territory. This contrast is what makes giant otters such compelling inhabitants of the Amazon. Their friendliness toward one another does not diminish their willingness to act decisively against threats. Instead, it reinforces the bonds that allow them to function as a unified force. When the group senses danger, the playful river suddenly becomes a defended domain, every member alert and ready to act. Standing at the edge of such water, the shift is palpable. The calls grow louder, bodies align in the current, and the otters begin moving forward with deliberate speed. What looked moments earlier like a gathering of curious mammals now resembles an organized patrol determined to reclaim its territory. The intelligence behind their behavior is unmistakable. This is not a mindless swarm reacting blindly to stimulus. It is a family reading the same signals, reaching the same conclusion, and acting together. In a rainforest, famous for insects that overwhelm prey and fish that converge in feeding rushes, giant otters reveal another layer of collective power. The Amazon does not only produce swarms of bodies, it produces swarms of minds. When several intelligent predators share awareness of the same threat, their response can become just as formidable as any insect colony or feeding frenzy. The river in those moments belongs entirely to them, a social force moving through water with confident speed and unmistakable purpose. The first sign is movement along the ground that does not belong to wind or animals. A narrow trail cuts through the forest floor like a living ribbon, threading between roots and fallen leaves before disappearing into the undergrowth. At first, it appears chaotic, dozens of insects crossing the path in both directions, but with a moment of careful observation, the pattern becomes clear. Each ant moves with purpose, carrying a fragment of green leaf held high above its body like a sail. The fragments vary in shape and size, but the motion is consistent, a continuous procession of workers moving outward into the forest and returning toward the nest with freshly cut vegetation. It is one of the most recognizable scenes in the Amazon rainforest, yet its deeper significance is easy to overlook. Leafcutter ants are not predators in the dramatic sense, but their power lies in something far more revealing about the ecosystem they inhabit. They represent what happens when millions of small organisms synchronize their effort into a single, coordinated machine. Leafcutter ants belong to the genera Atta and Acromyrmex, insects whose societies rank among the most complex non-human systems on Earth. A mature colony may contain several million individuals living within a network of subterranean chambers that extend meters beneath the forest floor. From the surface, the nest often appears as a cluster of soil mounds and ventilation openings scattered across a wide area. Beneath that surface lies a sprawling architecture of tunnels and chambers that house brood, waste sites, and the colony's most valuable resource, a carefully cultivated fungus that serves as the ants' primary food source. The leaves carried by the ants are not eaten directly. Instead, they function as raw material for agriculture. Inside the nest, workers cut the vegetation into tiny fragments and incorporate it into fungal gardens that grow within specialized chambers. The fungus breaks down plant material and produces nutrient-rich structures that the ants consume. This mutualistic relationship, an ancient partnership between insect and fungus, has existed for tens of millions of years. In evolutionary terms, it represents one of the earliest known forms of large-scale agriculture, developed long before humans cultivated their first crops. To maintain this agricultural system, the colony must gather enormous quantities of plant material every day. That demand drives the relentless traffic visible on the forest floor. Scouts leave the nest to search for suitable vegetation, sampling leaves from nearby plants and evaluating their chemical composition. When a scout finds a desirable source, it returns to the colony, laying down a pheromone trail that guides other workers to the same location. Within minutes, the quiet forest path may transform into a crowded highway of ants moving in both directions, each individual responding to the same invisible map written in chemical signals. The efficiency of these trails is extraordinary. Workers maintain distinct lanes for outgoing and returning traffic, minimizing collisions and allowing thousands of ants to travel the same route simultaneously. Larger worker castes use powerful mandibles to slice circular sections from leaves, while smaller workers ride atop the fragments during transport, protecting the carriers from parasitic flies that attempt to lay eggs on exposed ants. Every individual has a role within this system, and every action contributes to the overall productivity of the colony. For plants growing near an active leafcutter colony, this system can feel relentless. A tree that appears healthy one evening may be partially stripped by morning as columns of ants harvest leaves throughout the night. Unlike many herbivores that feed selectively on individual branches, leafcutter ants remove vegetation in a highly organized fashion, cutting precise sections and transporting them back to the nest with mechanical regularity. Their impact on vegetation can reshape local plant communities, forcing some species to evolve chemical defenses or physical traits that discourage ant harvesting. Yet the significance of leafcutter ants extends far beyond the plants they harvest. Their colonies function as engines of ecological change, redistributing nutrients throughout the soil and altering the structure of the forest floor. Excavated soil from their nests forms mounds rich in organic matter, creating microhabitats for other organisms. Waste chambers filled with decomposed plant material enrich surrounding ground with nutrients that influence nearby plant growth. In this way, The ants act as ecosystem engineers, subtly reshaping the environment through the cumulative effect of millions of small actions. Watching a leafcutter trail for several minutes reveals something deeper about collective behavior. No ant directs the colony's activity from a central command point. There is no overseer instructing workers where to cut leaves or which path to follow. Instead, coordination emerges from countless interactions between individuals responding to chemical signals, environmental cues, and the behavior of nearby ants. When a trail becomes crowded, ants adjust their speed and spacing automatically. When a plant source is depleted, pheromone signals fade and the trail gradually dissolves, redirecting workers toward new areas. This decentralized organization allows the colony to adapt rapidly to changing conditions. Rainfall, fallen branches, or disturbances along the trail can interrupt the flow of traffic, yet the ants quickly establish alternative routes that reconnect the foraging lanes. In some cases, entire highways shift direction within hours, bypassing obstacles with an efficiency that resembles human transportation networks. The colony behaves less like a collection of insects and more like a living infrastructure system, expanding and contracting across the forest floor. Predators and parasites attempt to exploit this activity, but the ants' sheer numbers often limit their success. Birds occasionally pick off workers along exposed trails, and certain insects specialize in infiltrating ant colonies. However, the scale of the leafcutter workforce ensures that the loss of individual ants rarely disrupts the colony's productivity. Each worker is replaceable, part of a workforce measured not in dozens, but in millions. This principle, strength through scale, is the key reason leafcutter ants belong in a story about collective power in the Amazon. Unlike army ants or piranha, leafcutters do not overwhelm prey through sudden attacks. Their influence unfolds through sustained coordination over long periods of time. By mobilizing thousands of workers simultaneously, the colony transforms landscapes in ways that no solitary organism could achieve. A single ant carrying a leaf fragment seems insignificant. A continuous stream of them moving along dozens of trails begins to resemble a living conveyor belt linking forest canopy to underground farm. For animals traveling through the rainforest, encountering such trails can be a reminder of how densely organized insect societies shape the terrain. Paths that appear clear one moment may become crowded corridors of moving ants the next. Fallen leaves rustle not with random insect activity, but with purposeful traffic moving between nest and forest. Even large mammals occasionally alter their routes to avoid the dense flow of workers protecting their trails. The deeper lesson hidden within these movements echoes the broader patterns found throughout the Amazon. Whether it is army ants sweeping the forest floor, fish converging on a signal of distress in the river, or mosquitoes gathering around a source of heat and breath, collective behavior repeatedly amplifies the capabilities of small organisms. Leafcutter ants represent perhaps the most sophisticated expression of that principle. Their power lies not in aggression or venom, but in organization. Millions of bodies align toward the same objective. As dusk settles across the forest, the leafcutter highways often grow even busier. Cooler temperatures allow workers to travel more efficiently, and the night shift expands the reach of foraging trails deeper into the vegetation. From a distance, the scene resembles a silent industrial operation unfolding beneath the trees. Leaves disappear into moving columns of ants, vanish underground, and re-emerge as nourishment for the fungal gardens that sustain the colony. In a rainforest famous for predators with claws, teeth, and venom, The final lesson arrives quietly along these living roads. The most powerful forces in the Amazon are not always the largest or most visibly dangerous. Sometimes they are systems, networks of tiny organisms whose combined actions create something far greater than the sum of their parts. Leafcutter ants demonstrate how organization can rival violence as a source of ecological influence. The forest itself reflects this truth. Beneath the canopy, countless societies of insects operate continuously, building nests, harvesting resources, and defending territories with efficiency refined over millions of years. Each colony is a machine composed of living parts, capable of reshaping its surroundings through sheer coordination. In that sense, the Amazon is not only a landscape of individual creatures, it is a landscape of systems moving together, each one powered by numbers, timing, and cooperation. When seen from that perspective, the idea of an attack in the rainforest expands beyond claws and bites. Sometimes it is the sudden rush of ants responding to alarm. Sometimes it is the swirl of fish converging on weakness. And sometimes it is the quiet procession of workers carrying leaves into the soil, demonstrating that the most formidable forces in nature are often those that move together as one. In the Amazon rainforest, danger often announces itself with movement. Leaves rustle, water splashes, branches snap, and predators reveal their presence through the disturbance they create. Mosquitoes operate differently. Their arrival is quiet, almost invisible, and their impact unfolds gradually until the environment itself begins to feel hostile. In a place already dense with life, where sound and scent travel easily through humid air, a mosquito swarm represents a kind of threat that does not rely on strength or speed. Instead, it exploits the most reliable signal any warm-blooded creature produces: its own body. The first mosquito rarely feels significant. It arrives as a faint, high-pitched whine near the ear, followed by a small landing somewhere along exposed skin. In the Amazon, this moment is almost routine. Mosquitoes are part of the background life of the forest, emerging from pools, flooded tree holes, and slow backwaters where larvae develop beneath the water's surface. Most encounters begin exactly this way, one insect probing briefly for a place to feed before drifting away. Yet in the humid stillness of the rainforest, one mosquito is often only the beginning of a larger process already underway. Mosquitoes locate hosts through an extraordinary combination of sensory cues. Carbon dioxide from breathing forms a faint plume that drifts through the air, detectable by specialized receptors on the insect's antennae. Even small fluctuations in concentration can reveal the presence of a living animal dozens of meters away. As the mosquito flies closer, additional signals sharpen its focus. Body heat radiates outward from exposed skin, creating subtle thermal gradients in the surrounding air. Sweat carries chemicals such as lactic acid and ammonia that further confirm the presence of a suitable blood source. In still air, these signals overlap into a kind of invisible map that guides the insect steadily toward the host. For a single mosquito, this sensory system simply increases the odds of a successful meal. For hundreds of mosquitoes responding to the same cues at once, the effect becomes something entirely different. Dense swarms form most readily in environments where wind is minimal and humidity is high, conditions common along Amazonian riverbanks and flooded forests. In these spaces, the chemical signature of a living body lingers longer than it would in open landscapes. Carbon dioxide, heat, and scent accumulate rather than dispersing quickly, creating a concentrated target that insects can track with increasing accuracy. Once several mosquitoes converge on the same host, the process begins to accelerate. Each insect that lands releases additional odors from its own body and disturbed skin, subtly altering the chemical environment around the victim. Movement from swatting or brushing away insects can push new currents of scent outward, drawing more mosquitoes toward the disturbance. The swarm does not behave like a coordinated predator in the way a school of fish or a colony of ants might. Instead, it functions as a distributed network of individual insects responding independently to the same signals. The result, however, can feel very much like a coordinated assault. In the Amazon, this dynamic can escalate quickly. Wet seasons expand breeding habitats dramatically, filling low areas with standing water that supports explosive mosquito populations. Species diversity is enormous, with dozens of mosquito types occupying different ecological niches. Some prefer shaded forest pools, others breed in tree cavities high above the ground, and still others specialize in flooded grasslands or slow-moving streams. When environmental conditions align, warm temperatures, high humidity, and limited airflow, multiple species may converge in the same area, each responding to the same biological signals produced by animals passing through. For humans and other mammals, the experience of entering such a swarm is both physical and psychological. The insects begin circling the head and shoulders first, drawn by exhaled breath and the heat radiating from the face. Within seconds, several may land on arms, neck and legs, probing with delicate mouthparts that search for tiny blood vessels beneath the skin. The bites themselves are often painless initially, as the mosquito injects saliva containing anticoagulants that prevent blood from clotting during feeding. Only afterward does the immune system react, producing the familiar swelling and itch that marks each feeding site. The real disruption begins when bites multiply faster than they can be ignored. One mosquito might be tolerated. 10 become distracting. 50 create a sensory overload that demands constant attention. The human brain, tuned to detect irritation and respond quickly to protect the body, struggles to filter out dozens of tiny assaults occurring simultaneously. Hands rise instinctively to swat and scratch. Shoulders tense. Head turns repeatedly toward the faint buzzing that seems to come from every direction. This response has consequences beyond simple discomfort. In the dense Amazon forest, concentration is often essential for safe movement. Trails may be narrow and uneven, roots hidden beneath leaf litter, and branches positioned at awkward angles. Losing focus even briefly can result in missteps or collisions with vegetation. A mosquito swarm erodes that focus gradually, replacing calm observation with constant reactive motion. Instead of watching the terrain or scanning for wildlife, attention shifts inward toward the body itself, toward the need to remove the insects that keep landing again and again. Animals in the rainforest display similar behavioral disruptions when confronted with dense mosquito activity. Large mammals may retreat to breezy areas or open riverbanks where wind disperses insects. Some species seek relief in water, submerging portions of their bodies to escape biting swarms. Others flick their tails, twitch their skin, or shake their heads repeatedly in attempts to dislodge the insects. These responses consume time and energy that might otherwise be devoted to feeding or vigilance against predators. The ecological significance of mosquitoes extends far beyond irritation. By feeding on blood, they connect multiple species within the ecosystem through a web of biological interactions. Many mosquitoes transmit pathogens such as malaria parasites, arboviruses, and other disease-causing organisms between hosts. This role as vectors makes them influential players in the evolutionary arms race between pathogens and immune systems. Animals living in mosquito-rich environments often develop behavioral strategies to reduce exposure, including altered activity patterns and habitat preferences. Yet the immediate danger posed by mosquitoes in a dense swarm rarely comes from disease transmission alone. Instead, it emerges from the cascade of behavioral changes they trigger. A person struggling against hundreds of insects may abandon careful movement through the forest, pushing rapidly through vegetation or stepping hastily across uncertain ground. Sweat increases, breathing becomes heavier, and the chemical signals attracting mosquitoes intensify further. The swarm grows thicker, reinforcing the cycle of irritation and distraction. In this sense, mosquitoes represent a different category of threat than the dramatic predators often associated with the Amazon. They rarely kill directly during an encounter. Instead, they weaken focus, drain patience, and alter decision-making in ways that can expose animals to other dangers in the environment. A distracted traveler may stumble into thorny undergrowth, wander off established paths, or fail to notice subtle warnings from the surrounding ecosystem. The swarm does not need to overpower its victim physically. It simply needs to destabilize behavior long enough for the environment itself to become more dangerous. Even experienced rainforest inhabitants acknowledge the influence of mosquitoes on daily activity. Campsites are chosen with airflow in mind, fires sometimes used to generate smoke that discourages insects, and protective clothing worn whenever possible. Indigenous communities throughout the Amazon have developed plant-based repellents and other techniques to manage mosquito exposure, recognizing that constant biting can affect not only comfort but endurance during long journeys or hunting trips. As night approaches and the forest cools slightly, mosquito activity often intensifies. The still air traps scent and carbon dioxide near the ground, forming dense pockets of attractants around animals resting or moving slowly through vegetation. In these moments, the swarm feels almost atmospheric, like a living fog that thickens wherever warm bodies remain still for too long. The sound alone, a layered chorus of faint buzzing, can signal that concentration and patience will soon be tested. Within the broader story of the Amazon's collective threats, mosquitoes demonstrate that swarms do not always rely on teeth, venom, or visible aggression. Sometimes their power lies in persistence and numbers, in the ability to overwhelm attention rather than muscle. A cloud of insects, smaller than a grain of rice, can transform a calm forest walk into a battle for composure, turning the body's own biological signals into beacons that guide the swarm closer. The rainforest is filled with dramatic predators that capture attention immediately. Yet mosquitoes remind us that survival in such environments often depends just as much on managing the small, relentless pressures that accumulate over time. A swarm of insects may never appear as imposing as a jaguar or anaconda, but when the air thickens with buzzing wings and every exposed surface becomes a landing site, the lesson becomes clear. The Amazon does not always defeat its victims through sudden violence. Sometimes it does so through distraction, persistence, and the quiet erosion of control. The Amazon forest has many ways of punishing carelessness, but some of the most effective defenses are hidden in plain sight. A towering tree trunk, wrapped in vines and textured with moss, may appear completely ordinary as it rises into the canopy. Buttress roots spread across the forest floor like wooden walls, collecting fallen leaves and moisture beneath their shadows. Insects move quietly along the bark, birds hop through the branches above, and nothing about the scene suggests immediate danger. Yet within that bark, beneath loose sections of wood or inside cavities in the roots, a colony of bullet ants may be living just centimeters from the surface. Disturb the wrong section of tree, press a hand into the wrong crevice, or step too heavily against a root mass, and the forest responds with one of the most intense defensive systems found in the insect world. Bullet ants are large by ant standards, sometimes exceeding 2 centimeters in length, with glossy dark bodies and long legs built for navigating complex surfaces. Their size alone makes them conspicuous among the smaller ant species that dominate the rainforest floor. Yet it is not their appearance that has made them famous. The reputation of the bullet ant comes from its sting, widely regarded as one of the most painful insect stings known to science. Entomologists who study insect venom often refer to the Schmidt Pain Index, a comparative scale developed to describe the subjective intensity of different stings. Bullet ants occupy the top of that scale, producing a sensation described as immediate, overwhelming, and persistent, capable of lasting many hours after the initial contact. This extraordinary pain originates from a neurotoxic peptide called ponerotoxin, delivered through the ant's sting apparatus. Unlike many insect venoms that primarily cause localized inflammation or allergic reactions, ponerotoxin interferes directly with the electrical signals that travel through nerve cells. The result is an intense disruption of sensory perception around the affected area. Muscles may tremble, nerves misfire, and the brain receives a continuous stream of pain signals that do not fade quickly. From an evolutionary perspective, this mechanism serves a clear purpose. The sting does not need to kill a predator. It only needs to create a memory strong enough that the predator will never attempt the same mistake again. Yet the true defensive strength of bullet ants does not lie in a single sting. It lies in the colony's ability to multiply that experience almost instantly. Like many social insects, bullet ants live in organized communities that share a collective responsibility for protecting the nest. A colony may contain several hundred workers occupying tunnels inside tree bases, fallen logs, or soil cavities beneath roots. From these hidden chambers, workers patrol nearby surfaces, searching for food and monitoring disturbances in their territory. Their sensory systems are highly tuned to vibrations and chemical signals, allowing them to detect subtle changes in their environment. When one worker encounters a threat, whether a predator investigating the nest or an animal brushing against the colony's entrance, it responds immediately with alarm behavior. The ant raises its abdomen, exposes the sting, and releases chemical signals into the air and onto surrounding surfaces. These alarm pheromones spread rapidly through the immediate area, functioning like a broadcast message to every nearby ant. Within seconds, other workers emerge from crevices in the bark or soil, drawn by the chemical call to defend the colony. The response unfolds with remarkable speed. What appeared to be an empty patch of tree trunk can suddenly fill with moving bodies as dozens of ants rush toward the disturbance. Each arriving worker evaluates the same signals: the scent of alarm pheromone, the vibration of movement, and the presence of an intruding object or animal. Unlike solitary insects that must rely on individual strength, the colony converts this shared information into coordinated defense. The ants climb over bark, roots, and leaves with startling efficiency, converging on the same target from multiple directions. For the animal that triggered this response, the danger lies not only in the venom itself, but in the compounding effect of multiple stings. A single bullet ant sting is already enough to cause intense, radiating pain that can disrupt normal movement. When several ants sting simultaneously, the nervous system receives overlapping signals of extreme discomfort from different parts of the body. This can produce a cascade of reactions: muscle spasms, involuntary shaking, and a powerful urge to escape the source of pain immediately. That instinctive reaction, however, often makes the situation worse. In dense rainforest terrain, thrashing movements can push a victim deeper into the zone where more ants are present. Leaves and bark that seemed harmless moments earlier may conceal additional workers responding to the same alarm pheromones. As the person or animal struggles to retreat, more ants may climb onto clothing, fur, or skin, each delivering another sting before being brushed away. The attack spreads outward not because the ants are chasing aggressively across long distances, but because the victim's own movement intersects with more defenders mobilizing from the nest. This phenomenon reveals an important principle of swarm defense. Bullet ants do not require large colonies numbering in the thousands to create a powerful deterrent. Their strategy relies on rapid escalation within a localized area. The first sting signals the presence of a threat. Alarm pheromones recruit additional defenders. Each new ant that arrives reinforces the perception of danger and increases the likelihood of further stings. In a matter of seconds, the colony transforms from hidden occupants of a tree to a concentrated defensive force. Many animals living in the Amazon have evolved behaviors that help them avoid triggering such responses. Arboreal mammals often move cautiously along trunks known to host aggressive ants, relying on memory and scent detection to identify risky locations. Birds foraging on bark may peck selectively, avoiding cavities that could conceal a colony. Even large predators occasionally show signs of discomfort when encountering defensive insects, shaking their heads or abandoning prey if ants swarm across the carcass. In this way, bullet ants influence the behavior of animals far larger than themselves, shaping patterns of movement through the forest. Their presence also creates opportunities for unusual ecological relationships. Certain butterfly species lay eggs near ant colonies because predators avoid areas patrolled by aggressive ants. Some plants benefit indirectly from ant activity as well, gaining protection against herbivores when ants patrol their stems or branches in search of food. These interactions illustrate how a defense mechanism built around pain can ripple outward through an ecosystem, influencing species that never interact directly with the ants themselves. For humans encountering bullet ants in the wild, the lesson is often learned abruptly. The rainforest contains countless hidden communities of insects that defend their homes with efficiency born from millions of years of evolution. A misplaced handhold on a tree or an unwary step against a root can cross an invisible boundary surrounding a colony. In the quiet moment before the ants appear, nothing seems unusual. Then the alarm spreads, workers emerge, and the forest reveals that even small creatures can enforce powerful territorial limits. The aftermath of such encounters underscores the potency of the bullet ant's strategy. Pain may persist for many hours, radiating outward from the sting site and sometimes accompanied by temporary paralysis or intense fatigue. For predators or large animals that experience this sensation, the memory becomes a powerful deterrent. Evolution favors prey that survive long enough to remember dangerous encounters, and the bullet ant's venom ensures that the lesson is unforgettable. In a rainforest filled with predators that rely on teeth, claws, or venomous fangs, Bullet ants demonstrate another form of collective defense. Their power lies not in overwhelming numbers or lethal toxins, but in the ability to transform a small disturbance into a rapid, coordinated response. One alarm triggers many defenders, and many defenders deliver a cascade of pain signals that overwhelm the victim's ability to respond calmly. The result is a defensive system built on escalation. A single mistake, touching the wrong trunk, disturbing the wrong root, can activate an entire colony. Within seconds, the forest floor or tree bark becomes alive with movement, each ant contributing to the same objective: drive the intruder away as quickly and memorably as possible. In that moment, the rainforest reveals another dimension of swarm behavior. Not every swarm exists to hunt. Some exist to punish intrusion so effectively that no predator dares repeat the attempt. With bullet ants, the lesson is delivered through pain multiplied many times over. A reminder that even the smallest inhabitants of the Amazon can defend their territory with remarkable intensity.